Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today I'm going to be doing a review of Fire and Stone, Siege of Vienna, 1683. So this game is a two-player war game. This is published by Capstone Games by Robert Lesky. So like I said before, this is a two-player war game. It plays a little asymmetric. But yeah, so this takes place during, obviously, the Siege of Vienna in 1683, where the Ottomans attacked the Hapsburgs or the Austrians. So this just came out last year, towards the end of the year. I picked this up at PAX. Like I said, I'm a big war gamer. I love historical board games. So when I saw this came out, I had to pick it up. And again, this is a little bit of an obsession of mine. I'm a big history buff. But does the game hold up? So I'm going to show you how to play. Might sound a little complicated, but it really isn't. I'll show why in the how to play section. But then I'm going to let you know what I think about it, so to let you know if maybe this is a game that you would want to purchase for yourself, or you might want to get into. But yeah, so check out the how to play, and then we're going to go over how on what I think about the game.
Okay, so this is how a game of Siege of Vienna is going to be set up. You're going to have the Ottomans right here in red, and the yellow are going to be the Hapsburgs or the Austrians over here. So as you can see, this is how the Austrians are going to be set up. They have their cannons all out. They have their fortifications out over here, and the Ottomans are just going to have their cannons out on this area that's over here. Now, the way the game ends, if you're the Ottomans, you're going to try to either get the Austrians or the Habsburgs morale down to 0. You're going to control either this section here or this section, or if you control this section here, you're going to automatically win the game. So if you control these two, you win the game, or if you just control this one, you're going to automatically win the game. If the Austrians run out of troop cards, they will also lose, and the Ottomans would win. So for the Austrians, the way they're going to win is you want to try to hold on to the end of the game. So if this reaches the end of the round and the Ottomans haven't either controlled any of these areas or removed your troops or your morale, then the Austrians are going to win. Also, if the Ottomans' morale goes all the way to the end, the Austrians are going to win, and same goes for the troop cards. If the troop cards are depleted, then the Austrians are going to win. So the way a round works is you're going to have all these strategy cards, and you're going to have all these tactic cards. Now, you're only going to have 5 tactic cards for the whole game. Any other tactic cards are going to be brought back to the box, and same is going to go for the Austrians. You're going to have your strategy cards, and you have your tactics cards, and you're going to always have 5 in hand when it comes to your strategy, and you're always going to have those tactic cards off to the side. So now this plays slightly asymmetric. I'll go, for the most part, it's almost the same for both sides, but I'm going to go over what the Ottomans can do. So, like I said before, the Ottomans are always going to go first, and one of the actions that they can do is entrench. So, in one uncontrolled glacious hex, adjacent to a hex you control, place up to 2 improvised fortifications and move any number of your cannons there. So, improvised fortification are these little stick things right here. The Austrians have the same in yellow. And like I said, you put 2 of those sticks next to a hex that you control, and you can move up your cannons there. So because the way the Ottomans can attack, they only can attack adjacent. And again, I'll be going over that in a little bit. Now, when you use the entrench action, you're going to have to adjust the morale. So the Ottomans are always going to get +1 morale, and the Austrians or the Habsburgs are going to lose morale whenever the Ottomans take that entrench action. Now, when that happens, the Hapsburgs are going to roll a die for each of their cannons that are anywhere on the board. So as of right now, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They start with 7 cannons on the board, and they're always going to have 7 cannons on the board. So as the Austrian player, you want to try to make sure these cannons don't get destroyed. So as of right now, the Hapsburgs are going to roll 7 die. So yeah, you just roll. I'm not going to have all 7 die in hand. But now, when the Hapsburgs roll their die, for And for every 6 that you roll, they're gonna eliminate 1 random troop from the Ottoman troop deck. So that could have up to 2 maximum casualties for the Ottomans. So the Habsburg player would go into this deck and randomly take out 2 troop cards max. As you can see here, the troop cards have a numeric value. It goes from 1 up to 3, I believe. Now, the Ottomans have a lot more troop cards than the Habsburgs, but the Habsburgs have a lot more powerful troop decks. So, like, the Ottomans have a lot of 1 value, and the Habsburgs have a lot of 2, 3, even I believe that they might have 4. No, I'm not. No, it doesn't go up past 3. Yeah. So this will be the Austrian troop deck. And I don't want you guys to get confused. Austrians and Habsburgs are the same thing. That's just me being, The next thing that the Ottomans can do is assault. So that means that they can attack a Habsburg control hex that is adjacent to a hex that you control. So if the Ottomans were here, they can attack this area right here and attack the fortification. Now, I'll go over battles later. So when the Ottomans assault, it's going to result in a battle. Now, Habsburgs have almost that same action, so I'll go over battle altogether later on. Another thing that you can do is mine. So that both players are going to have this bag. You're going to take out randomly from this bag a number. So let's first say we have 2 here, and we're going to place it right here. Now, again, the same happens for the Habsburgs. They have that same action. Now, what mine does is when you randomly draw that, you're going to place it face down, like I just did there. And if you have shovels that total 4 or more, you return all your tiles back to the bag. And then you're going to choose 1 Habsburg-controlled hex adjacent to a hex that you control and remove 1 structural fortification. So that's an easy way to remove these fortifications on the Habsburgs. And the same goes for the Habsburgs when they mine against the Ottomans. When the Ottomans built their little fortifications here. Excuse me. If there aren't any, then you will remove all improvised fortifications from it. So the next thing that they can do is fortify, which again you would add 1 improvised fortification to a hex that you control with 1 or more, with 0 or 1 fortifications. You could also move any number of your cannons from any hex that you control to any other hex that you control. So that's another way that you can move your cannons on the board. The last thing that the Ottomans can do is bombard. So they're going to choose 1 Habsburg-controlled hex adjacent to a hex that you control and roll 1 die for each cannon that you have adjacent to it. And again, if you roll 2 or more 6s, you're going to remove 1 structural fortification from that hex. So that is another easier way to remove the fortifications or the cannons. Now, let's go over to what the Habsburgs can do. So, the first thing they can do, like I said before, it's almost very similar to the other side, just slightly different. So the first thing they can do is an action called sortie, which is you would gain 1 morale, and then you would attack an Ottoman-controlled hex adjacent to a hex that you control. Again, that starts a battle, and I will go over that later when I'm done with all the actions. Again, the next thing they can do is also fortify by adding 1 improvised fortification to a hex that you control with 0 or 1 fortifications. The maximum that you can do is 1 on the Lobel Bastion. That's the one over here. The next thing they can do is barrage, which is you roll 1 die for each of your cannons anywhere on the map. If you roll 2 or more 6s, the Ottoman player must eliminate 1 random troop from their troop deck. Now, the last thing that they can do is then also mine. Same thing. You're taken from the bag. When you have 4 or more total, then you can destroy any fortification next to a hex that you can control, and remove all improvised fortifications. So yeah, now let's go into how a battle works. So this can be slightly confusing, but I'm gonna go over it as smooth as possible. So now, if it's an uncontested battle, if you're defending as the Austrians, you're going to roll 1 die for each cannon you have anywhere. If you are the Ottomans, you're going to roll 1 die for each of your cannons on or adjacent to the attacked hex that's getting attacked. So this little figure right here would give you an idea of where you're going, who's getting attacked, which hexes are getting attacked, and where the battle is taking place. Again, so for the Ottomans, for each result of 6 rolled by the defender, the attacker must eliminate 1 random troop from their troop deck, 2 max. So the maximum amount of troops that you can kill are 2. The attacker wins and then proceeds to the resolution phase, and I'll go over what the resolution is. If it is contested, so you're going to select your troop cards right here. Now again, this is if it is a contested battle. And from your hand, you're going to choose, excuse me, the minimum number of troops played per player is going to be 3 or equal to the number played by the attacker. Again, I know it sounds a little confusing at first, but I'll go over later why it's not. So the Hapsburg, the maximum number is always going to be 3, and the same goes for the Ottomans. Or if they have a traceable line back to camp when they're defending, the maximum is 4, or when attacking, plus 1 max for each adjacent controlled hex. So the Ottomans could have a little bit of an advantage there, but that's because they have less troop cards in their deck. So you're gonna select the troop cards. So I'm just playing. Normally you would place them face down, and then you reveal them later on. So you don't know, your opponent doesn't know how many troops you are playing. So let's just say, for example, the Ottomans are going to play this. Of course, you're going to compare the numbers. So here, this would be 5. This is going to be 7. And then you're going to select any tactics cards that you want. So these are the tactics cards for the Hapsburg, and the Ottomans are going to have that blue card right there. Then you're going to reveal your troop cards here, and then apply effects. If you use tactic cards, they take place simultaneously unless it states on the card. And then apply the effects of fortification. So this is where the fortifications come into play. So the attacker is going to move troops from their front line to their rear line for each fortification on the attacked hex. 1 per improvised and per structural. Like I say, this is the structural. The small sticks are the improvised. So, sometimes you have this stronger card here. You're like, okay, you know what? I want to save this card. I'm going to move him to the rear, and I'm going to leave these 2 up there. Now, in this case, it's going to result in casualties. So right now, the Ottomans are winning because they don't have any. Well, if they're attacking this hex, then they have to move one troop back. So they would actually lose this battle right here. But then now you would have to roll for dice for each cannon that you have on the board. So the Ottomans will roll 1 die for each of the cannons on or adjacent to the attacked hex, and then the Hapsburgs are gonna roll 1 die for each of their cannons anywhere on the board. So, like I said, the reason that happens is because these are the only cannons that the Hapsburgs have. Once those are destroyed, they cannot get them back. So that balances out for them a little bit. Again, you're gonna compare the battle value of the troop cards and the player's front lines only, and the higher value wins. And the defender is always going to win ties. Now, if the attacker won, they're going to remove the defender's control markers, which are these right here. So you flip them from yellow or red. Their fortifications, excuse me, and cannons from the attacked hex. Now, you're going to add the attacker's control marker and 2 improvised fortifications right from winning the attack. The morale is going to go +1 for the winner, -1 for the loser. Now, if the Ottomans attacked and won that battle, they can move any number of their cannons onto the attacked hex from any number of hexes anywhere on the map. If the defender wins and then the Hapsburg won as a defender, the Ottomans automatically lose 1 morale. If there's 0 structural fortifications are on the attacked hex, the attacker from either side may eliminate up to 2 of their troops from their front or rear lines to remove improvised fortifications from the attacked hex. So if 0 remain, you can remove cannons instead. Now, I didn't go over this before, but if you're now anytime you play a troop card, they're gonna go to the discard pile. But any ones that are killed are removed from the game. Again, there are some tactics cards that can help change that. You can easily take your troop cards back from the discard, or bring some troop cards that were killed back into play. But also from your hand or from your discard, you can take some cards from your discard pile. So if you have a troop card that's in your discard pile that you really want, you can take it back, but you have to lose 1 morale if you want to use that card from the discard pile. So it comes at a price, and that goes for both factions. So that's pretty much, you're gonna keep doing that back and forth until the game reaches the end, which will result in the Ottoman victory, or any other victory conditions, like I said before, if the troop cards run out, or if the Ottomans control any number of hexes. Now, I know that sounds really confusing. It sounds like a lot, but you have these awesome player aid cards that describe everything in full detail. And you have, again, obviously there's 2 each. So, like I said before, I never had a problem playing this game. The rulebook, I must say, is very, very well done. This is a really good rulebook for a game that looks and sounds a little complicated. It really is. I'm just, because it's a lot, I make it sound like there's a lot to it. Also, if for any history buffs, the game comes with this awesome history on the Siege of Vienna. So if you're interested in knowing about what took place and everything, they go into full detail on here. So if, any history buffs, I think you would appreciate that. So that's the game. Now I'm gonna go over what I think about it.
Okay, so that's how you play Fire and Stone, Siege of Vienna, 1683. So I'm gonna go say it right now. I really like this game a lot. This is a great 2-player game. So let's go into what I dislike first. Again, there's some luck with the dice rolls. Any game that's gonna have dice, there's gonna be luck. Does it bother me? No, because I'll go into I'll explain why into what I like section. But yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But the biggest problem I have with it is replayability. I think if you play this game too much, like once every week, I don't want to say you're gonna get tired of it. I think the strategy gets a little, how can I say, I don't want to say boring, because there are multiple strategies in this game. Again, you have a ton of strategy cards. You have multiple tactics cards that you might not see every game, because you're only going to have 5 for the rest of the game. The rest going to be put back into the box. But I do think there might be a slight replayability issue. Again, it's not that big of a deal. I have a great time playing this. Now, what I like about it and what sticks out the most is that, number one, is both factions feel very, very well balanced. I never felt I was overpowered as Ottomans. I never felt I was overpowered as the Hapsburgs or Austrians. Again, they all have their little powers, like the Hapsburgs, Austrians. They always can attack anywhere on the hex, depending on how many cannons they have. But they also want to be mindful they don't want to lose any of those cannons. Most of their cannons are up in the front, so as the Ottoman player, you want to attack that front area right here and try to take out as many cannons as possible that belong to them. The Ottoman player wants to be very aggressive right out the bat. The Hapsburg player wants to be more conservative and try to get that time towards the end of the game. Again, there's only 5 rounds, so once the one round ends, that's it. The game is over. So it's a lot of back and forth, and that's what I look for in a two-player game. Every single game of this has been very tense for me. It's always come down to the wire. It's never been a blowout, although at times I thought it was going to be a blowout. But again, there's with the tactics card, with the strategy cards, each player has a chance to catch up. So again, and like I said before, every single game probably went about 45 minutes, an hour the most. The rulebook is really well done, really well. I know the how to play sounded a little confusing. It sounded like a lot, but it's not, because you have these awesome player aid cards that give you into great detail how to play each action that you take, how to battle. The battles can be a little confusing, but that's where the player aid cards come in. They help a lot. Everybody I played this with didn't complain about the rules at all, or complained about how complicated they were. They are not complicated, and I have to give props to the rulebook. I can't tell you how much I appreciate really good rulebooks, especially for a game that is like this. So yeah, big plus with that. One of the best rulebooks I've ever read. Again, I also like the art on the cards. The art is very, it's got that history book feel. That's what I like to see in a historical war game. This is the type of art that I like. Again, you might not. I personally, I like it a lot. And another thing I like a lot too, and like I stated before, is the mitigation of luck. So that's why the dice rolling doesn't bother me too much. Is because with the tactics cards and with the strategy cards, you're using that luck to mitigate some of these dice rolls. So that creates a very well balanced gameplay. This is one of my favorite two-player war games. And might make the top 10 at the end of the year. We'll see. Maybe not. Again, my biggest concern was the replayability. But overall, this is a great two-player game. It is a great game to get into war games. So I would call it a gateway war game. Anybody that plays war games, you know how convoluted those rules can be. They can be very heavy, but not with this one. I think this is a great game that will get people into war games. And if you're not a war gamer, you're gonna like this game a lot too. When I went to the Capstone booth at PAX, they compared it to Watergate. I don't think it's anything like Watergate. I think this game stands fresh on its own. I had a lot of fun playing it. But the rating I'm going to give it is going to be an 8 out of 10. I know I'm giving this high praise, like it could be a 9 or so. The reason it's not getting a 9 or a seal of merit, is because of the replayability. I wonder, I don't want to say you're going to get tired of the game, but it's, the strategy could be very samey after a while. But it's one of those type of games that you'll play, and then you come back to like a month, 2 months, 3 months, whenever you play it, and you're gonna have that same great time like you did the first time. And that's how I felt about playing this game. It's not a game I'm gonna play. Somebody comes up, oh, let's play Siege of Vienna. I'll be like, you know what? We haven't played Siege of Vienna in a while. Let's get this back to the table, and you're gonna have that same great experience every time you play it. So that's why I'm giving this game an 8 out of 10. It's mostly because of the replayability on it. But you cannot go wrong with this game. Is it for everybody? No. If you're into war games, if you're not into war games, you're not into that tense gameplay, no, it's not for you. But again, the thing you should take away from watching this is if you're looking for a two-player game, it doesn't have to be a war game, just a two-player game. Even if you love games like Watergate, Caper Europe, this is a game that's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be tense on both ends, and it's going to be very well balanced. So you got a great two-player game right here. So, you might, if you're looking into playing Caper Europe, you might be like, you know what, after watching this review, I'm going to get this game instead. It's fairly inexpensive. I don't think it's, you could probably get it for under $50. It has a great playmat. I didn't show off the playmat here. It could probably take up more space on my table. But, yeah, I'm really happy what Capstone Games did with it. You know what? It can go up later on to a 9 out of 10. But for now, it's an 8 out of 10. It's a seal of recommendation for me. But, yeah, that is Fire and Stone, Siege of Vienna, 1683. Guys, please like and subscribe to this channel. If you have any questions about this game, leave them in the comments. I always You know, I'll always be free to answer them. Oh, and I always have time for it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today. Keep on playing, guys, and you know, like I said before, like and subscribe. It mean a lot for this little channel. Help this channel grow. I might be attending Level Up in Connecticut. That is Board Game Co's little convention that he's doing. I might be attending it. I'm still debating whether or not. I might be going to DexCon, which is in Jersey. I believe it's in July. So if you want to meet up over there, you know, feel free. I have an Instagram account that if you ever want to hit up, do some, you know, some videos together. I'm cool with that too. But looking forward to hearing from all you. Have a great one, guys. Keep playing.